Call to order. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who goes first?
Roll call.
Mayor Candelora?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Here.
Councilor Angeloni? Here. Councilor Caprio?
Here.
Councilor Diamond? Here. Councilor Esposito?
Here.
Councilor Fawnin?
Here.
Councilor Kesey? Councilor Rose?
Good evening. Before we get started, may I just ask that we please have a moment of silence for the two Boston firefighters and their families who made the ultimate sacrifice to their city. Thank you. Tonight is a public hearing on the town and school budget. I expect everyone to be respectful and please try to limit your comments to 2 minutes. There will be no debate. Please state your name and address for the record. I would like to also thank and recognize the Board of Education, the Superintendent, Scott Schoolmaker, for helping with tonight's venue. I would also like to thank the Superintendent for using the ConnectEd system to inform residents about tonight's hearing of budget workshops. And I would like to also recognize Board Chair Lou Paternoster. And we'll begin tonight. I'm going to ask the Fire Chief, Chief Seward, if you wouldn't mind starting.
Yeah, that's good.
If everyone could please shut off your cell phones, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Sit down.
Sit down. There you go.
I don't think the mic is working, so I'm going to step off the side.
No, it's working now. It's working now.
It is? Okay. Good evening. My name is Bill Seward. I'm the fire chief and a taxpayer in town. I live at 32 Meadowbrook Drive. The task of leading a fire department and providing service to the community has probably never been so hard as it is today. The current mood in many communities is volatile, and emotions can easily get in the way of facts and reason. If I'm going to be able to live up to the mandate of protecting our community, our firefighters, and our organization, then all of us are going to need a very specific set of skill sets and understanding. The most important point to understand is that there are new boundaries a fire chief must face. The fire department is no longer sacred in the eyes of some citizens, if not many citizens. The public does not necessarily see the fire service as different from other governmental services. In fact, too often taxpayers see the fire department as simply an undue drain on their wallets. It is a fact that some citizens see government as all-inclusive, not separating the fire department from other services. As North Branford's fire chief, I'm a member of the upper level of government executives who execute a vision of the community's political and town-appointed Board of Fire Commissioners. Fire chiefs do not make the final decision. They provide the information so leaders of a community, and in many cases, individual citizens, can make informed decisions. Put it another way, the general does not decide to go to war. The general executes the mission they are given by political leaders. Of most important, I'm not a fire chief who is self-serving autocrat who is just interested in building an empire. I'm a department head with a focused mind that is to provide the very best of life safety, incident stabilization, property conservation, and maintaining the highest level of safety and well-being for our 129 members. When I think of picking my battles, no matter how well as fire chief I provide information to the public, some people are not going to agree, especially if the plans are presented call for an increase in taxes. Some people might not support the fire department. They might have personal issues with the fire department. They might even have personal issues with the legal requirements under the Connecticut State Fire and Life Safety Code and its enforcement. No matter what the reason, there are just some people in the community whom I will not be able to just bring to camp. However, as leader of the North Branford Fire Department, I would like to mention our successes. Most chiefs have looked at outputs as a measure of success. For example, how many stations the department maintains or plans to open, the age of the organization's fleet, or number of staff. The problem is not one of these items individually guarantees success. People really want to know what's in it for them. And by addressing outcomes, I'm in a position to provide that information. In 2013, we responded to 1,118 alarms, 1,363 of which were EMS. Personal property loss during that period was $500,028,700. The value of the property involved was $43,519,800. Our savings represented a 98.79% success rate. A fast, skilled response by firefighters not only saves lives, but minimizes property damage and the impact of fire and water damage has on our citizenry. Furthermore, in the last 8 months of paramedics and our tiered EMS response system, we have successfully resuscitated 3 members of our community. That's in the last 8 months. We brought them to a point of spontaneous return of circulation. So, to a layman, what does that mean? It means a person went from being clinically dead to walking out of the hospital on their own and living a productive life. Your belief in my endeavors have made this possible. So I need to shed some favorable light by emphasizing that tax money will have a direct return to the citizens. I must communicate to you that tax money comes right back to the citizen's house when they are having the worst day of their life. Schools traditionally take a lion's share of tax money, but some citizens don't have kids in school. Public education certainly has a direct tie to the quality of life, but the quality of life is zero if your house burns or a family member requires advanced life support and it's not available or personnel don't respond. The challenge of operating a fire department in 2014 is many. We are an organization composed of professional volunteer firefighters and EMS personnel that must meet state and federal mandates annually. Continually train and educate ourselves to the techniques that are specific to our calling. Each member contributes hundreds, if not thousands of hours a year into an under-budgeted department. We risk our lives every time the alarm sounds. Luck and good fortune will no longer carry that day. We were witness to a tragedy this week in Boston that can happen in anywhere, USA. Modern-day fire chief, their staff, their membership needs to be educated, creative, and in touch with the climate of the community. I'm not a fire chief that sounds the warning bell indicative of a scared cow status. That's not our department. What I'm asking for tonight is to deeply consider supporting the Board of Fire Commissioners' recommended budget for fire and EMS operations for fiscal year 2014 and 15. This includes a tanker for District 3, where water is non-existent. Funds to subsidize our ambulance operation. Funding to support and maintain our aging fleet of apparatus, and the use of state grant to acquire personal protective gear that will allow me to reopen my membership that has been closed for the last 9 months. That's right, we don't take volunteers in North Branford for the last 9 months. So in closing, I'll remind you that since 2005, the North Branford Fire Department has received approximately $1.1 million in federal grants. That has allowed us to operate our service. That's money that the town would have been liable for had we not received those grants. As a taxpayer and fire chief, I challenge each citizen here to foster this single thought. $68 per day per student of your taxes go to education. 22 cents. 22 cents per day per resident is the cost for fire protection. Is that too much to ask? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'm going to ask the board chair, Lou Paternoster, would you like to come up?
I really didn't have much to say, Anthony, but thank you. Lou Paternoster, 21 Oxbow Lane, Board of Ed Chair. I really don't know where to begin, to be honest with you. I have no kids in the school system. I did have 3 go through. I'm very proud of the school system. I think the Board of Ed does a very good job. I respect each and every one of you for your position. What bothers me more as a Board of Ed member or a taxpayer is that I don't believe, in my opinion, that we are open-minded when it comes to this. Some of you last year, at the last Board of Ed budget, we were told you're going to get 0 next year. How is that fair to the children in North Branford or the teachers in North Branford or the administration in North Branford when some of you have come up to me personally and said, you think you got 0 this year? You're getting 0 next year. That's not fair to the students in North Branford, the children in North Branford. You have to come up here open-mindedly, clearly, distinctly, understand what's going on. I was at that Saturday meeting, and I want to commend some of you people for the questions that were asked. Marie, thank you for your questions. Mr. Fusi hasn't been here. He asked some very valid questions. Al Rose, I thought Al came up with some good suggestions, some viable stuff. We need to work together. The Board of Ed, Anthony and myself have worked together. We need to accomplish the goals of North Branford as one entity, not Board of Ed, not Town Council. We need to work together. Once we get to work together, we will have a great town. Because the people in North Branford, the citizens of North Branford are great, great people. I've been here 28 years. I don't want to go anywhere else. So my biggest thing is, like I didn't really expect this. I was this weekend a citizen, Anthony, so I owe you one. But my biggest thing is here, open mind. If you can honestly say to me, the Board of Ed, you're getting this because of this, this, and this, and logically, I respect all your opinions. But when you arbitrarily say, in a bank, a TD Bank, or in a grocery store and say, you're getting a 0 next year no matter what, that's not fair, guys. You have to read the booklet. You have to understand what's in there. Communications has been somewhat better this year. All I ask is that when you go to bed, you have to vote your conscience, and that's it. Because we have some great educators in this town. The students in this town are great. The parents are great. We have a great town. All we need is your support to move forward. And I have one question to everybody that says, we spend much on education. All these, my buddy rides them on. But the first question I ask is, when you want to sell your house, who's moving to town? Young parents with kids. What's the first question they're going to ask? How's your education system? If you poll a real estate agent, I don't see too many old people moving into North Branford. It's young adults with kids, and one of the first questions they ask is, how's your school system? And we should be proud enough to say, we have a great school system. So what we might be paying in taxes, I guarantee will outdo the value of your house based on that one question. Anthony, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
The floor is open. Is there any?
Roger Monk, Walnut Lane. Following Lou is going to be a little tough. I'm going to say again that they're spending too much money on the education side of this budget. One of the things they have on one of the slides that they put on last week, the last meeting, was in order for them to get a 1% cut, they got to lay off 6 teachers. That's like leaving the engine out of your car so that you can keep the satellite radio with the heated seats. You don't get rid of the things that are important, you get rid of things that aren't. Again, middle management and the education department can be eliminated, or at least 90% don't need it. It's being done in industry, it's being done everywhere. So there's a way to cut the education budget. The other thing I look at is the police department. Every time I look at these numbers, the police department's got more than anybody. They gotta back off. You gotta give something to the fire department. You gotta give something to the public works department. Because they've been working at the end of the stick for the past 10 years. And they do miracles with what they have. So what I'm saying is you got a certain amount of money that you're gonna collect from the people. And you have a amount of money already set up what you're gonna collect. You give so much to the education department, you give so much to the town. Budget it. That's the way I do it. That's the way everybody up there at the table does it. That's the way everybody out here in this room does it. You don't say, oh, I need a new driveway. Hey, Social Security, I need more money. And that's what they're doing. That's the way this budget person, that's not the way it should work. We got a certain amount of money. Education gets 70%, the rest of the town maybe gets 30% or whatever it is. Budget it. Don't ask for more all the time. Then they have to say, well, this is the priority. We'll do this. We won't do this. The town will have to do the same thing. So they're going to have to back off on some stuff and let the fire department get some stuff. Let the public works department get some stuff. Because they're working with antiques. A lot of stuff's pretty bad. So all I'm saying is don't be like the federal government. Don't be like the state government. You have intelligence. Work it that way, please.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brandy Little. I live on Old Turnpike Road in Northford. I have 2 kids in the system, and as Mr. Candelora said at one of his meetings, I am also a part-time Board of Ed employee. I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but I remember when you guys were running for your positions, one of the comments, it was at the meet and greet, one of the comments that Mr. Candelora said was, now don't quote me, was, and we need to get down to the bottom of why these students are going to other, the 8th grade students are going to other school districts for their education. Well, if you keep cutting the way you're cutting, who do you want to go someplace else where you keep cutting? In the newspaper, it also said that the mill rate, if it increased, it would equate to a $338 annual tax increase for residents with a $300,000 fair market value home. I think it's great that you increased the tax relief for the seniors to $100,000 so that more people can apply for that, up to $300. So in my opinion, for the seniors, they're getting tax relief, and they're the ones that are complaining most of the time. It kind of is a wash, because they're getting their tax relief of $300, and if their taxes go up, it's $338. Because I work part-time at TVES as a greeter, I just wanted to say this one last thing. And I do realize it. The teachers. They are not only teachers to our children. To some of them, to some of the students, they are nurturing adults, a first responder, someone to talk to, someone to break up a disagreement. Sometimes they are the only consistent person in a student's life. It's not fair that they have to worry every budget season if they have a job or not. And the reason why I say that is, and I do understand that you guys say the Board of Ed, okay, just cut this dollar amount. You don't say how they cut it. But as you know, the teachers are the ones that have the most salary, with the salary, and they're going to be the first ones to go. And I just don't think that's fair. So I hope you consider making the right decision instead of jumping around with your dollar amounts like you did last year. Oh, 200,000, 300,000, 200,000, 700,000. I hope you're a little more consistent this year than you were last year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Capitol, Post Road. Thank you for all your time and your volunteerism. I know this is always a really hard part of your job, and you have difficult decisions to make. And I've come before you many, many times, and I realize I've just spoken passionately about supporting the entire budget, and I still feel that way, but I want to take it where I give you a little data, which it comes from the newspaper. And I'm going to kind of dovetail a little bit onto what Brandy just said. So if the average fair market value is about $300,000, so that means a $338 tax increase, and we're in about that range in the home that I live in. So I look at that, and I look at there's 365 days a year, so that's less than $1 a day. And if that means in our household we need to cut back on something pretty nominally in order to support all the departments in this town, we are more than willing to do it. And I was there that Saturday morning, and I appreciate all the questions that you asked the library director and the questions that you asked, Scott and the Board of Ed members. And I definitely feel like there's a change, and I feel like you are really being thoughtful about this process. And maybe you always are, but I have a good feeling about it, and I hope come the next few days when you have your deliberations that you are open-minded and you understand the needs of this town. We need to not only sustain this town, but we need to have an investment in our infrastructure. And I think by having, not a zero budget is the way we invest in our infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Steve Torino, Bill, and honestly appreciate what you guys do for this town. I know it's very difficult in the position you guys are in. I happen to be a North Branford Fire Department. I've been for the last 12 years, and before I go on, I think everybody was handed out one of these tonight. And if you look, basically, if you can see where you live, you know if you have adequate water supply. If you look, it's kind of embarrassing. It's not official, but I'd like to say that about 40% of all the residential areas in this town don't have adequate water supply. And in the proposed budget that was approved by the North Branford Board of Fire Commissioners was for a tanker, a purchase for a tanker truck that would be housed in District 3. A couple of years back, it was a nor'easter, about 1,000 feet from the firehouse at Company 3. Guys made an aggressive attack, went in on an offensive attack, and ran out of water. I'm asking today that the town council approve the budget, because that's approved by the Board of Fire Commissioners in 2014 and 15. Because it's kind of sad that there's a chance that we could run out of water when all we're trying to do is save your house and your property, which is probably the biggest investment anybody's going to make. We don't have enough water. Now, this isn't a new revelation. It's just been a problem for a long time. But in that budget, with this tanker, we're not getting personal benefit out of it. I don't have any kids in the school system. I think the teachers do a fantastic job. I went to this school system. But supporting the fire department's budget affects every single person in this town. Affects your insurance. It affects your quality of life. I personally had a fire in my house in 1994. I lived in a hotel for 7 months, and I was in the old NBIS, and that drove me to want to become a fireman. Unfortunately, I had 4 knee surgeries, and Took me a little while, but I got to where I want to go and where I want to be. But we keep getting cuts. And if it's not cuts, it's not increases. Currently, we're operating on 17 cents a day. And with the 2014-15 budget, we're asking for a nickel increase. I know everybody bought a cup of coffee every day, or a pack of gum, or probably lost $1. We're just asking for a nickel increase, a nickel. As far as where the budget is on training, I know it took me 2 years to get approval to take fire instructor class. We do this training, this isn't for personal gain. Any of the classes we take, we do this to better the residents in the town that we all care so passionately about. But I've had 5 people come up to North Reardon Acres, Company 3, and ask to join since last August. I tell them, come back next year. And we do this for free. Kind of sad that people want to join, risk their lives for free for people that we don't even know. And there's no money for applications, for physicals, for training, for gear. It's kind of sad, you know, this is unofficial, but if you were to donate to the World Wildlife Federation, I think it's 18 cents a day. So I strongly urge you guys to please vote and approve the 2014 budget as approved by the Board of Fire Commissioners. This is only going to better everybody in this town, everybody that will move to this town, and every business that wants to come here. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is still open. Is there any other comments?
Good evening, everybody. My name's Gary Kuzo. I live on Tucket Road. I want to thank you for your time and everything you guys do. Certainly is appreciated. So the budget's a problem every year, it seems, for various reasons. So I didn't even know about this until last minute. I found an article on the day regarding the budget and some commentary in it. I assume it's accurate. Talks about the budget being $50.69 million and talks about our new mill rate, which would be 30.71, up 1.61 mils. So that would be a new inflated mill rate on what I would already say is overly inflated property values based on the latest appraisal that I had on my home. So went searching for some facts because we got a lot of emotion always when it comes to the budget, especially when it comes to education. Population in North Branford is 14,407 as of 2012. Our growth since the year 2000, so in 12 years, we've had a 3.78% increase in the growth of the population. I think we could agree the budget has not kept pace with the population increase, meaning that the average person is continually paying a higher percentage of their income. I don't think it's a secret that the income nationwide, and especially in Connecticut, is not up, it is down. As a business owner who's now pumping money into his business for taxes, I can tell you my household income in this town is down 65% from what it was 5 years ago. I can tell you, the more dollars you take out of the economy, that number is not turning around. Every cent you take out of the economy in taxes is money that I'm no longer spending. If I take my household discretionary income and I take the investments that I've put off for my business, I personally have pulled about $470,000 out of the economy over the last 2 years. That's just me. I can tell you, the other business owners I talk to, and I talk to them every day, are in the same boat. Cuts that we talk about here, 1% here, 0.5% there, I can tell you the business owners are cutting in the tens of percents. I used to employ 7 people, I now employ 1. I use temps because the cash flow just isn't there. I get emails now every month from the company that isn't renewing their contracts with us because they're going out of business. That's the business side, but for me, that affects my personal income as well. Every business owner I talk to has a formalized exit strategy for the state of Connecticut. The home appreciation last year, I heard Lou talk about investment in the Board of Ed and investment in education and how it's going to pay us back. Home appreciation last year with our newly increased budget was negative 3.14%. My sister bought a house 2 years ago. Unfortunately, for personal reasons, she needs to sell it. After putting money into it, she's currently lowered her price to about $24,000 under what she paid for it 2 years ago. She doesn't have any buyers right now. Unemployment in our town, best I can tell, is 6.8%, and the job growth last year was negative 0.57. That doesn't equate to a town that can increase taxes. Now, 2 years ago, we were having a discussion about a larger increase in the budget, and I heard similar numbers about how it's only $300 and change a year, and it's only about $1 a day. And something I brought up was that not only do we have to start scaling back just because we just can't afford these tax increases anymore, but someday state and federal aid is going to run out because we all know that the state and the federal governments are operating at a deficit. Well, in the article in the day, it says that we now have a net decrease of $205,800 from the state of Connecticut. That doesn't count if there was any deductions in federal aid to the state. So that right there is already coming to fruition. You cannot count on that money to operate our town. Another thing that was in this article that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, additional 15 hours per week in the assessor's office to increase grand list visual inspections, potentially increasing the cost by offset for increased revenue. So that just means now we're going to hire somebody to come around to evaluate our properties, which I'm already paying too much on, to see if maybe they can extract more money out of the homeowner. Kind of a slap in the face, considering between my office in Wallingford and my property in North Branford, I'm incurring ridiculous increases in property tax. My office just increased from $5,000 a year to $9,000 a year. I wasn't aware of the value of my property increase. So, I'm sorry to tell you, but we're caving in under this. I know a lot of people who work in the public sector and for the Board of Education probably aren't seeing these because from what I found, the contracts that I found online have built-in increases every year regardless of what happens. Well, I'm sorry I don't have that. My wife came home from work a couple weeks ago and said her division is cutting 10%, and if they can't do it through natural attrition, they'll do it some other way. This is just what we're living with. I agree that we want to have the best education possible, but I disagree that more money is necessarily the answer. If you're telling me this town needs over $30 million to educate a couple thousand kids, I don't really think we're actually trying to cut much of anything. If we want to do something good for the young people, what is it that they're going to do with the education they're receiving? 50% unemployment is the estimate among young people who are graduating from college. They can't even find a job anyway. Isn't that important as well? If we don't reverse this course at every level of the government, what is it that they're going to do when they get out of school? Where are they going to work? How are they going to be gainfully employed? The budget is unsustainable. The Day article also talked about several facilities within the town that need remodeling and we're short on the money. This doesn't mean that the money was never there. It means that currently our budgets are pretty much fraudulent because we're not building in the promises that were already made to the town. We all know if you put up a structure, every piece of that structure, the roof, the windows, the exterior, whatever, is going to have a simple depreciation where you're going to have to renew them. So if you're telling me we can't afford to put a roof on a school or redo a cafeteria, then that means that the numbers are already short and we're always going to be here asking for more money. So my argument is that the town already can't even make good on the promises that it made for the services that we're already providing. So how can we keep increasing with new services? With regard to the fire department, I said it before, I think that should be put up to a top priority. Maybe the answer is not that we can have what will eventually be a permanent tax increase. Maybe we can have some kind of either a fundraiser, or maybe we take that $300 per household per year and we put it in a separate fund and we get them their money and we figure out how to cut the budget appropriately to stay within where it's already at, which was just recently increased. My household is still recovering from the last increase, and now here I am looking at another increase. Just want to make sure I touched on all the points that I had. I apologize for taking a break. Those are the core of my statements. I have some other things, but I think I'll stop right there. I think you know where I stand. I'm not against children. I'm not against educators. I'm not against anything, but enough is enough. We have to get some realistic numbers here. The private sector can't do this anymore. So thank you to everybody for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Marcia Onofrio, Fox Hill Drive, Branford. I am a member of the Board of Education, but I'm not here just for the Board of Education. Who's to say which department is the most important? It's very hard to prioritize. You guys have a very difficult job, and it's not easy to make these priorities, to put these into order. I'm just asking that everybody get a piece of the pie. Everybody, we're falling behind here. Our infrastructures are not being kept up, as many people have said. Before we start building any more or doing anything else, we need to take care of the infrastructures that we already have. And I think everybody should get a piece of the pie. No one department, the police, the fire, park and rec, library, board of ed, public works, we're all needed in different ways, and it's all important to this town. I'm not looking forward to another tax increase myself, but I'm going to do what I have to do. If it means getting a part-time job or whatever the case may be, I'm going to do what I have to do to meet my bills. I'm just asking that you look at the budget appropriately and be fair in your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is John Mulvey, I live on Hollywood Extension. I really wasn't planning on saying anything tonight, after the gentleman over here spoke. I just wanted to add another dynamic to his comments. I work in corporate America, and I'm lucky enough to have a job. And quite honestly, there's a lot of people that I work with that from time to time, it's touch and go as to whether or not the position's going to be let go or going to be relocated to a different segment. But in corporate America, the average raise that most people get is about 1.5 to 2% year-over-year. And when I saw the article in the Sound, we were looking at a 6% raise, and I thought to myself, oh, that's quite a jump. And then I said to myself, well, didn't we get 5% last year? So I said to myself, okay, 5% last year, 6% this year, we're actually 5.5%. And if you look at the law 72, that says that the investment that we have is going to double within 13 years if you were to hold 5.5% year-over-year. So I don't believe that we're going to have 5.5% year-over-year. We don't. But my point is that even the corporate people that are trying to make ends meet are having a difficult time. So we could figure out how we can make this town work at a reasonable cost.
Thank you. Are there any more visitors that would like to comment?
Hi, everyone. I too was not going to speak tonight. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even going to come. Because I honestly thought my voice was not going to be heard, and that's kind of sad. Look at the turnout here tonight.
Could you please state your name?
Oh, I apologize. My name is Lynn Raridan. I live at 33 Durrell Farm Road. I'm also the organizer and president of the Mass Mission Fund for Lives Who Care. Look at the turnout here tonight. I have no doubt others felt the same way that I did, that no matter what they came here to say or how they felt, it wasn't going to make a difference. If I have a fire at my home, I want to be sure that I have the expertise and the professionalism and the water to extinguish a fire. If I was unfortunate enough, like the people who suffered through the Cheshire home invasion, or those just most recently in Guilford, I want to be sure that there is a police officer on duty who was going to be there to help me and my family. Put yourselves in that position. As a mother of 4, I want all of my children to succeed. I'm a working mother, and as a working person, and gone away from my children for the majority of the day, I need teachers like Stephanie DeFrance and many, many others who are very nurturing and loving and kind to my children. I just wrote this tonight, so bear with me for 2 seconds. Our children are our future. They're your future. Someday we'll all be old, and they'll be out here running around. Who do you want them to be? They need an education. I am really sad that so many of the families that I speak to here in North Branford do not value the North Branford education system, and by the time they have a choice and they figured, K through 8 is fine, but by the time the kids reach high school, they want them to have a good quality education because now it's their time to buckle down. College is important. That's sad to me. That's really, really sad because not everyone can afford to do that. I can't afford to do that. I'm a very successful fundraiser, but my money goes to North Branford from Mass Mission point of view. But I can't personally afford to send my kids to private school. And so how sad is that the families that can't afford it are, I'll just say, stuck here. Now, I love North Branford. Everyone knows who knows me, they know I love North Branford, but you can't cut police, fire, and our education. Please think about that. Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
Hello, my name is TJ McMahon, and I live at 263 Cedar Road, and I'm a junior at North Branford High School. Good evening, citizens of North Branford. The mission of North Branford School System, a proud, caring community, is to prepare all students to be capable, confident, lifelong learners who are responsible citizens in a diverse and changing world by providing a comprehensive, challenging program in collaboration with family and community. Among the many subjects I've been exposed to throughout my years in the school district, there are 2 subjects that have impacted me the most. Those subjects are TV productions and Spanish. Because of the TV productions class, I have made many friends for whom I have worked with now for the past 3 years. Each person has brought a talent to the table, such as editing and videography. The bond formed especially this year in the Advanced TV Production class has been priceless and would not have been possible without this wonderful program. Now that I am in Spanish 4 Honors, I will be taking Advanced Placement, known as AP, Spanish Language and Cultures next year. This program has helped me discover my true passion. Respectively, I will be going on to become a Spanish teacher in the secondary education field. Without this program, I would not have been as confident in making speeches in English. Now, I am able to speak fluently not only in English, but also in Spanish. North Branford Public Schools have truly helped me become a well-rounded student ready to take on the challenges of life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? All right, I guess, any counselors want to have a word? Motion to,
I make a motion to close the public hearing. Second.
moved by Councilor Angeloni, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wentworth to close the public hearing. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor Caprio?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Esposito?
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Again, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.